In this episode, we enjoy an epic sail to our last stop in Newfoundland. It's yet another remarkably beautiful anchorage. Newfoundland never stopped giving us spectacular scenery and wilderness to enjoy, largely all to ourselves. But that is all about to end, for now at least. We are about to finally sail away from Newfoundland. But first, we have to get through some cold and temperamental weather as we position ourselves for the 130-mile crossing. We are left with a multitude of amazing memories sailing around this rocky island in the North Atlantic over the last winter. It's a mysterious and very wild place at times, and our last anchorage did not disappoint.
We're just coming into Berkey after 3 weeks being out there in beautiful anchorages and living completely off-grid. This time we plan to plug in to charge our batteries 100% because we want to do a bigger crossing over to Nova Scotia, and for that and for safety reasons we'd like to be fully charged. It's pretty foggy here coming in, but it's pretty beautiful too. How did you like the off-grid part?
It was the best. Yeah, that's what it's all about, is anchoring out. If it had been warmer, it would have been a lot more enjoyable, but then again, maybe we would have had more bugs. I don't know. I think it's a give and take. But we stayed in some of the most amazing places and absolutely gorgeous. And it's starting to green up, which is adding to the effect as well. It kind of gives a little bit of life to the scenery as opposed to cold, frozen wastelands. And bird life is coming back, which is really cool. We're here at birds in the morning at the anchorages, nothing better than that. And today we have really beautiful mist and fog, and it's like the misty fjords, like they say. And so we've been really lucky with what we've been able to see in 3 weeks. I know, if you notice, you compare the pictures from January and February, we're pretty much wearing the same thing. And even though the temperature on the scale says, or the thermometer says it's warmer, it doesn't feel warm because it's super humid, right? So anyway, beautiful area that we were in last night. Doctor's Harbor. Not quite the hurricane hole that I was hoping for, but that's all right. Left Berkey for the third time now, and we're continuing our journey west along the south coast of Newfoundland here, and so we got a nice little offshore breeze, about 20 knots, gusting up to about 23, and we're doing about between 6 and 7 knots, which is great because we have a long stretch to do today. We got about 46 miles to make. Not quite sure where we'll land, but we're looking at either Little Garia Bay or There's a place called Petite's, which is looks really cool, another abandoned town. Or depending on how things go, we could make it all the way to Rose Blanche. We got about 110–120% of our Genoa out, and that's all we're flying, and we're still doing about 7 knots, which is great. And if Mr. Gibbs has a hard time controlling or seems to be struggling a little bit, then we'll back off the Genoa and put a 3rd reef in the main and balance the boat out a little bit more. But for now, we'll see how it goes. And I'll give you a little tour of what it looks like from our perspectives.
Look, that bird is following us here. That bird is flying beside us here.
Right on.
And suddenly the wind picked up and we have all sails out, so we got to be careful. We're heeling quite a bit now. Come on, whale. Today is WWW, whale watching weather. I decided that.
Hey, so we're just about to cross La Foyle Bay. We're the furthest west we've been on the southwest coast, short of taking the ferry from North Sydney to Port-au-Basque. But in Hakluyt anyway, we're the furthest west we've ever been. And the winds have been pretty fluky today. They've died off to 7–8 knots, and we kind of bobbed around, and they picked right back up now to almost 20, 18, gusting to 22, 23. And of course we had full sail out in the lulls, knowing that they're probably going to pick back up. But then just out of nowhere, whitecaps just like magically arose. So we just did a quick reef, put a second reef in the main, and a good solid second or third reef in the Genoa. And we're still tracking at about 5.5 knots, and we got about 18 knots of wind. The wind also shifted, so it's off our bow. We're more on a close haul coming into the wind, and it's thrown us off course a little bit, but we'll see how that translates once we get across La Foyle Bay. I think the winds are going to get a little bit fluky out of there because the winds are coming out of that bay and they have quite a bit of fetch and nothing to block them. So I guess we can anticipate that. Judith is watching the helm, and we got a little bit of a whale watching session. It's kind of cool. So we got multiple whales this time, but they were just too far away for us to capture on film.
Hey, you're a little bit wet, Captain.
Yeah, it's freezing rain on the verge of being, it almost feels like could be snow here, but that's all right. Clean the boat off more. At least we're sailing.
So the wind is picking up more and more. It's actually, we're heeling so much. It's more like a storm at the moment.
in here.
Yeah. Pretty crazy.
Yeah, so we turned directly into the wind, and we've not tested these motors, the electric motors, in I don't know, anything over like 15, 20 knots, I guess, going into the wind. That was way back in St. John's, and today we got 25, 27. We got to go up this bay, trying to get to our anchorage, and we're using a lot of battery capital to do that. We're using 6 kilowatts per motor. That's about 12, yeah, right around 12 kilowatts, I guess. Anyway, we're doing 3.5 knots into 22 knots of wind, so that's okay. It's acceptable. Earlier when we first started, we were only doing 1.2 knots, and that wouldn't be acceptable because we'd kill our batteries long before we ever got into the harbor. And we got about 3 miles to go. We're hoping the further we get in, the less wind we have, and if not, we gotta turn around and head to Rose Blanche. Okay. The other option would be to go right over here and maybe anchor over there too, but it's like 36 feet and 100 feet kind of thing, and there's not a lot of room to swing that way. So I think this will work. We just got to be really coordinated, and it's going to be really hard to hear.
And are we going through that narrow still, right?
Yes. Right here. It's more shallow on the starboard side, and there's like a 6-foot bar, but I just checked, it's high tide. So once we get over this bar, and I can see green, turquoise blue in the water, so we know it's shallow coming off this point right here.
It, yeah. It's so exciting. We're ready to cross the Cabot Straights. We're just getting the dinghy up here and we're go finally.
Hakluyt is our off-grid expedition home on the water. The possibilities are simply endless. Thank you for joining along with us on this journey. Support the production of these videos by clicking on the subscribe button below or by following one of the links in the description. See you next week.